Hello. Now, in this lesson, we would like to look at, or we would like to continue with our discussion of, how calculations can be done and in what format they must be done. You see that type of thing we call algebraic expression, which is a description of how a calculation must be done and also in what format. So right here, I've shared with you something which is not really directly related to algebraic expression, but it gives us a little bit of how we should do something. You see? So there is where we start from, the start. Then the bit of answering the phone call. Then after answering the phone call, the next thing is to find out what, for example, like for example, each time you make a telephone call to a call center or something like that, the first thing they want to find out is, who are you? How can you be assisted? Okay. So if you say, well, I want this type of services, then for example, they can refer you to some department. Now, when they reach that department, they will give you they kind of connect you directly. It's like they call that other person in that department to talk to you or to speak to you. So, there is how something is done. There is a format, there is that order that is followed, okay? So for example, you start with this, then you move on to the other one, then you move on to the other one, and then you move on to that. That is called the order or the format of doing something. And yes, also in algebraic expression, there is how we start and there is how we continue. And there is the format and there is the order that we want to follow if we must reach the final destination. So just like a quick one here, you start, then you answer the phone, then, how can you be helped? Either you go this way or else you come down here, you see, or you could still continue. What's the problem? Take the name and the name of and the company, transfer to help desk and stuff like that. Then the call finishes. Or you could be made to come this way. So you see, there is how it is started. There is how it continued. After reaching some point, there is the option it has got to take. So in the same way, in algebraic expression, before we reach the finish, there is the bit of adding, there is the bit of subtracting, there is the bit of dividing, and there is the bit of multiplication. In one previous lesson, we had a discussion about the adding. Now, in this lesson, we would like to look at the bit of subtracting. So how are we going to subtract? What are we going to subtract? What format do we follow? How do we get there? Well, to subtract two or more, algebraic expressions with one term each called monomials that are like terms, we subtract the coefficient and we keep the variable, that is the unknown letter. We keep it the way it is. The way it is, we only subtract the coefficients. And also we leave the exponents of the variables. We don't touch it. For example, look at these algebraic expressions that we have to subtract. Now, according to these statements here that we have, what they are trying to say is suppose that we have, for example, 6. Well, suppose that we have, for example, 6x, okay, minus 3x. What this means is that because they are like terms, okay? Like terms means they are related in the sense of what? They are related in the sense of them having a similar variable or unknown, which is x in this case. So notice that the first term 6x has got x. The second term 3x has got x. So they are related in the sense that all of them have got x attached to them. And because of that, if we are required to subtract, what do? We only subtract the numbers in front. It's like from 6 we subtract 3. You see that? From 6 we subtract 3. And what do we get there? Well, when we subtract 3 from 6, we get a 3. And now this other x, we just leave it like that. We don't what? We don't do anything to disturb it. But should it happen that you have, for example, things like what? Let's say you have things like this time 7y squared. Okay. Now 7y squared. Yes. Let's talk of let's use x squared. It's a lot easier to write it. So let's say we have 7x squared minus what? Minus 5x squared, okay? Minus 5x squared. How are we going to simplify this? Well, to simplify this, we don't disturb the variables and the exponents. This, we don't disturb it. In fact, let me highlight it. So you see that x squared and this x squared, we don't disturb it. The only thing that we disturb is the coefficients. So from 7, we subtract 5. When we subtract 5 from 7, what do we get? We get 2. Then we bring in the what? We bring in the x squared. See that? We bring in the x squared. And when we bring in the x squared, what do we get? Our answer will be 2x squared. See that? Now, the questions we are going to be looking at, they are not having only one term. They have a lot more terms as part of it, okay? What am I supposed to mean? Well, look at, for example, this one here. I'm just going to write it up so that it's easy for us to carry on with the calculation. So I'm going to write it up here. Right. So we have a minus sign here. Then we have 11x squared. Okay, we got 11x squared. Then onto 11x squared. Oh, sorry for that. We also have what? We have 2x. Then we have what? We have 16. And from this, what are we doing? We are subtracting to what? 2x squared. So we are subtracting 2x squared. Okay. And x. Then we also have a 2. Yes, that's what we have. For what? For question 1, part A. Let me put it like that. So how are we going to handle this? Well, what we would like to do or to start with is to open the bracket. So we would like to write these quantities here without a bracket. Oh, this is okay. We would like to write this without a bracket. Let me just see if I can transfer this thing. I would like to make it easy for me to copy and paste. It's not allowing in this one, so I'm just going to try in something else. I'm going to try here and see what I can get from this, just real quick. Let me see from here what I can do. Just going to a free page. I'm looking for a free page. All right, are we almost there? Let me check with this if it's going to accept. Just check if it's going to accept what we just did. Well, looks like it's not. It's finding it difficult to accept. Looks like it's finding it difficult to accept. Okay, since it's finding it difficult to accept, we may have to hold on a little bit. Oh, yes. Oh, okay. Sorry for this delay. That we were going to get there real quick, but it's not accepting. So what we are going to do is remove what we don't need. Yeah, what we don't need, and we carry on with this. Yes. So we had reached the part of opening the bracket, and I was trying to make it a little bit easier. The system did not allow, so we will just stick onto this. This is 11x squared plus 2x, okay, plus 2x plus 16 minus, the minus is going to be with the 2x squared, okay, we will be having 2x squared. Now notice that because of this one here, notice that this plus sign, which is right inside, will have to multiply the minus sign, which is right outside. So what's going to happen is that this minus sign times plus is going to give us what? It's going to give us a minus. That is negative times positive is negative. So we'll be having minus what? Minus x. And also this minus times this plus gives negative, because negative times positive is negative. Then we have what? Minus 2. Now in the next step, we do what is called collection of like terms. Now by collection of like terms, what we do is we put the numbers having x squared together. Okay, how many are they? Well, there is 11x squared, okay, there is 11x squared, and there is also 2x squared. So we want to put them together. There is also 2x squared. Yes, we put them together. In other words, this one here, this, okay, and this other one here, they are called what? They are called like terms. So we put them together. Yes, we call them like terms and we put them together. Let's put this like this here. Okay. Yeah. Oh, no. All right. So I guess I'm not going to highlight this. Yes. Then now this 2x, we now bring it right here. Remember, it's a plus 2x, so we write s plus 2x. Then there is this x, which is also minus. Yes, what I'm saying is this x here, all right, this x and this other one here, they are what? They are like terms. And so we put them together. Then finally, what do we have? We have 16. Well, this 16, okay, this 16 here, this 16, this one, and this other two, they are also like terms. Yes, they're like terms. And so what do? We put them together. We will be like plus 16 minus 2. Okay, because they are like terms. Now, what is going to be the next thing there? Now that they are like terms, the rules of subtracting the coefficient now comes in. The thing we want now to do is to subtract the coefficient. And how do we subtract the coefficient? Well, to subtract the coefficient, we start with the first two terms, 11 minus 2. So we will be having 11 minus 2. Now notice that 11 minus 2 gives us 9. And so this will give us in total 9 what? 9x squared. Now, after that, we move on to this next two, which is what? 2x minus x. But as we indicated, we subtract only the coefficient, meaning we are going to have 2 minus 1, because the coefficient of this other second x is like there is some silent one standing there. So we only subtract the coefficient. And when we subtract 2, rather 1 from 2, we get 1. So we now have 1x. Most of the time, we don't want to write this 1. It's not significant, so we can just, displace it with x. Then finally, we have 16 minus 2, which gives us 14. And yes, this is the answer to the question of subtracting. That is the answer to the question of subtracting. Now, the next thing we want to look at is question 2. Question 1, part 2, which we would like to call it B. Now, this question here also has got 2 brackets. All right, let's put like this. Okay, there is a minus between the first and the second bracket. Right, so in the first bracket we have what? We have 26. Now we have moved to B. We have 26 what? 26x squared. So we have 26x squared plus 11x minus 4. Then in the second bracket, we have 13x squared. 13x what? 13x squared. Then we also have minus 1. That is what we have in the question. How do we subtract the 2? Well, the first step is to open the bracket. So we are going to be having, for the first bracket, 26x squared plus what? Plus 11x minus 4 minus, okay? Now, notice that this minus here, okay, is going to affect the sign in front of 13. So that we have minus what? Minus 13x squared. Okay, minus 13x squared. Then also this other plus sign, this minus sign, notice that when we multiply the negative which is outside with the negative which is inside, it becomes a what? A positive. So it will now be plus 1. At this point in time, now that we have opened the bracket, the next thing we want to do is to collect like terms. Collecting like terms mean terms having x squared, we put them together. Terms having x, we put them together. Terms without x or x squared, also known as the constants, we also put them together. And so this one will give us what? Well, this is going to give us 26x squared. Okay, 26x squared minus 13x squared. Okay, we put them together because they are like terms. They have x squared and x squared. Check this out. You see? Let me highlight it just a little bit. Oh, I can put this. All right. Yes. This one has got many colors. But yeah, it's not as strong though. No, I'm going to use this one. Yes, so look at this. There is x squared right there. And also there is x squared here. You see that? So because we have x squared and x squared attached to them, we group them together, we put them together. Putting them together means we are collecting like terms. When we do that, we don't leave the sign in front. We have to carry the sign in front together with it. Yes. Then now the next thing we want to do is to deal with the what? Is to deal with this 11 here. Now notice that there is this x, okay? There is this x which we also have to what? Which we have to put together. And that is the only x we have. Oh, that's the only x. There isn't any other value of x we must add to that. Then the next thing now is this 4. This 4, okay, this 4 here. we can put it together with what? We can put it together with this other one. Why is that so? It's so because they are the only numbers without x and without x squared. You see that? So what are we going to be having? We are going to have minus 4 plus 1. Yes, minus 4 plus 1. And yes, from here, we can then go ahead to deal with the coefficients. We will only subtract the coefficients. We will not subtract anything else. And to subtract the coefficient, well, what are we going to get? Yep, we will get 26 minus 13. Okay, oh, did not need to put this, so we'll be having 26 minus 13. Now notice that 26 minus 13 simplifies much quickly to 13. Then we now put the x squared right next to it. So notice that when we put the x squared right next to it, we will be having 13x squared. Then now we will be having 11x, and finally minus 3. That is what we get when we add 1 to negative 4. And that is the answer to this second question, which is question what? Which is question B. Now the next question, well, probably the last question that I'm going to do before I get for you some activities. Notice I'm going to do, yes, up to C, then you will do from D to F. Now you have got to watch this carefully so that you don't miss that part. So we are now moving on to what? On to C. Now, moving on to C, what we are going to have is, well, we will have to subtract these quantities here. And what are they? Well, inside the first bracket, we have 35x squared. This is 35x squared. Then we also have 30x. Okay. Then we have minus 14. Then in the second bracket, what do we have? Well, in the second bracket, we have x squared. Okay. We have x squared. Then we also have what? We also have 10x. And finally, we have 28. Well, how do we subtract this? Well, before we subtract these ones, the thing we want to do is we want to collect what? Oh, sorry for this. Yeah, the thing we want to do is we want to open the bracket. Meaning we are going to write 13 what? 13x squared, this time without a bracket. Then we're also going to write what? We are going to write 30x. Then finally, we will have what? 14. Then minus, we will be having what? We will be having x squared. Okay, because this minus will multiply the one which is standing in front of x, and it will be what? 1x squared, or simply x squared. Now notice that because we have this 10, rather this plus in front of 10, when we multiply this negative which is outside with this positive which is in front of 10, we get what? We get negative times positive, and that is negative 10x. Then we also have a plus here, so we have to multiply this negative times this other positive so that we get negative 28. Notice that the negative times a positive value gives a negative value. Okay, a negative value times a positive value gives a negative value. Now that we have opened the bracket, the next thing we want to do is what? Is to collect like terms. Now notice that this quantity here, the 35x squared, has got what? Has got x attached to it. Now I'm going to put this, look, okay? Oh, no, this is going to make it not seen. So this one is having x squared, and this one also has got x squared. So let me just write it down here. It's 35 what? What is this? Okay, I'm putting 35 x squared. Okay, I'm going to put there 35x squared. Then next to it, I will put minus x squared. Yes, because why? They are like terms. Now, the next thing is to look at the terms with x, not x squared, but with x. And what are they? They are 30 and negative 10. Then the last thing we want to look at is the terms without x. That is what? That is going to be 14 and 28. Beyond this, we now want to look at subtracting the coefficients. So to subtract the coefficient, we will start by subtracting the coefficient of x squared in the first term, then the subtraction of the x squared, the coefficient of x squared in the second term, which is what? 35 minus 1. That gives us what? 34. Now we write the what? We write the x squared. Then we look at the what? We look at the 30. So we will be having 30 minus 10. Now notice that 30 minus 10 is what? Is 20. Then we put there the x. Then we will be having what? Minus 14 minus 28. Okay, minus 14 minus 28. Now notice that minus 14 minus 28 will give us what? Will give us not positive because we are not multiplying, we are just subtracting. Minus 14 minus 28 will give us minus 42. Yes, will give us minus 42. Okay, and this one gives us the answer to this question. And this gives us the answer to the question right there. So I've done part A, B, and C. Now it's your task to do what? To do D, E, and F. They're right here. D, is it? D, E, and F. Yes, you could also do G, but it's fine. First do D to F, and I see what you've done. If everything is right, we will carry on from there. And this is it for our lesson of this time. Again, up to next time.